Let me start by saying one uncomfortable truth. If you're watching this video hoping for a shortcut, hoping for a secret strategy, or hoping to crack UPSC in 1 year without sacrifice, this video is not for you. But if you're genuinely thinking, I want to become an IAS officer, I want to serve people, and I'm starting from zero, but I'm serious, then stay with me for the next 20 minutes. Welcome to Mission 2026, your step-by-step roadmap to start UPSC preparation from scratch or zero level in 2026 so that you can crack UPSC CSE 2027 with confidence. No shortcuts, no false motivation, only clarity, strategy and consistency. Please remember that UPSC is not a talent test. Okay, it is about discipline, direction and duration. Every selected officer you see today once struggled with newspapers, mock tests and they had self-doubt. They were at 0-2 initially. But then they enrolled themselves into a system of preparation, okay, and next was the focus on consistency in their preparation, and most importantly, they got selected because of proper direction, dedication and duration. Why am I saying duration? Let's understand with an example. Okay, 2027 UPSC CSE. Okay, many aspirants would say there's a lot of time for that. Okay, but the syllabus doesn't wait for anyone. We all know how vast the syllabus is. Okay, and of course you'll be drowned with 2 years of backlogged current affairs. You'll be referring to 1,000+ internet sources and then you'll waste your time. So it's important to start early. Okay, because most UPSC aspirants fail because they start late. Now, a lot of thoughts keep coming to the aspirants, the students who are thinking that we should start preparing for UPSC from the scratch. Now, what are the thoughts? Okay, where do I start? I'm from a non-English background. I'm starting from zero and they feel lost. Okay, but most beginners, they misunderstand UPSC. We need to understand what UPSC really tests. That's the most important thing. Okay. Please note that UPSC does not test how many books you have read, how fluent you are in English. No, they don't test it. Okay, how many coaching notes you collect or your educational background. Nothing matters actually. UPSC tests how clearly you understand the issues, how logically you can think, how ethically you can respond, and how consistently you work under pressure. So these are the things that UPSC tests basically, and for that you need to have a proper direction. For instance, if you are like studying the notes of APTI PLUS Academy, just like focus on that. Okay, you focus on limited number of resources. You do not focus on thousands of resources. This will lead to deviation. Okay, in this context, do you remember Bruce Lee? He once said, I fear not the man who has practiced 10,000 kicks once, but I fear the man who has practiced one kick 10,000 times. That's the secret of success. With decades of experience in this field, we can say that we have seen students from a village. Okay, they clear the examination, but sometimes even the IIT graduate fails to crack this examination. So what we are trying to say is mindset is everything. Okay. Mindset correction is compulsory. Okay, so you need to build the foundation knowledge. Okay, and then that would be followed by understanding so that you can connect the concepts across the various subjects, and that would be followed by application. So okay, knowledge, understanding and application. Okay, so that you can solve the questions for both prelims and mains examination, and finally the interview stage. Now, if I talk about the exam structure, UPSC CSE has 3 stages: prelims, mains and interview. Okay, In prelims examination, there will be like 2 papers, GS paper 1 and CSAT paper. Now GS paper 1 is a merit based paper. In this, questions would be asked from history, geography, polity, economy, security, environment, science and technology, international relations, etc., along with current affairs. Okay, and the second one is the CSAT paper. It is a qualifying paper, but nowadays it has become quite dangerous because the difficulty level of CSAT has been increasing every year. So if you say that GS paper 1, it decides your fate, CSAT decides whether you're allowed to use that field. Okay, so we should not neglect CSAT at all, and this is a very important message for all the beginners. Please note that both GS paper 1 and CSAT, they'll have 200 marks with a 2-hour duration each. Okay, and you have to give both the papers on the same day. Okay, and GS1 paper, this will have 100 questions, and if we talk about a CSAT paper, it will have 80 questions. Okay, now this GS paper 1, this is for merit ranking. It covers current events, as mentioned earlier, everything, all the various subjects. While if we talk about CSAT, it is a qualifying paper and it requires only 33% marks, which is out of, if we talk about 200 marks, it is how much? 66, right? 66 out of 200. So it basically tests comprehension, reasoning, basic numeracy. Now it's important to note that both the papers have 1/3 negative marking for wrong answers. Alright. So GS1 determines the cutoff, but it's important to crack the CSAT exam as well, qualify it so that you get into the mains stage. Now, if you talk about the UPSC mains examination, it will have 9 papers, descriptive papers in total, and out of 9, 7 are for merit. Okay, it includes essay, it includes 4 GS papers, okay, GS 1, 2, 3 and 4, and then there are 2 optional subjects. Okay, so optional papers, subject is 1 and you'll have to appear for 2 papers. So in total, how many papers are there? 4 plus 2, 6. Okay, then there is essay paper 7. So these 7 would be counted for merit, and the rest of the 2, I said 7 out of 9, these are for merit, and the rest of the 2 papers, these are qualifying in nature, and they're just like language papers. You can select any Indian language, and you have to secure 25% marks in the language papers so that your merit papers, okay, that will carry 1750 marks. These papers are evaluated. Okay, they are even considered for evaluation. In the qualifying papers, that is the papers that are not counted for merit, there will be paper A, compulsory Indian language, it will carry 300 marks, and then there will be paper B, English, it will carry again 300 marks. Okay, and apart from that, the merit making papers is 7 papers that will carry 1750 marks. Okay, they'll have paper 1 essay 250 marks, then GS 1, 2, 3, 4. These are the 4 GS papers. Each paper will carry 250 marks again, and then there will be optional subject 1 250 marks and optional subject 2 250 marks. So in total there will be 7 papers. And finally, once you clear the mains examination and you enter the interview stage or the personality test stage, of course it is the final stage of the examination, and it assesses a candidate's personality, leadership and suitability for public service. Okay, there will be around 30 to 40 minutes session with the panel, and it will carry 275 marks in the interview, and here basically they focus on your mental alertness, your logical expression and integrity. Okay, not just knowledge, because your knowledge has already been tested in the mains examination and the prelims examination. So here of course you require what? Honesty, there should be confidence and calm composure. Okay, and candidates who have cleared the mains examination, they are basically called to the UPSC headquarters in Delhi for this crucial discussion based evaluation. Now, after understanding the entire structure and the pattern of the examination, the first thing that an aspirant must do is to read the syllabus. The syllabus is your non-negotiable tool. Okay, so download the syllabus from the official UPSC website, or you can also download it from APTI PLUS Academy's website, and then print it and keep it on the table. Okay, please write it down if it is necessary that the syllabus is your Bible. Okay, many a times aspirants, they ignore the syllabus, they just go through it at a glance and they start preparing, they dive into the preparation mode, which is a very wrong step. Why? Because syllabus tells you what to read, what not to read, and where to stop, not get carried away with a topic. I'm repeating again, what to read, most importantly what not to read, and where to stop. We have seen beginners and many aspirants, they waste years studying without knowing the boundaries, without knowing the syllabus properly, and this affects their ranks. Syllabus is not a list of topics. This is important to note. It is a thinking framework, okay, because it connects the angles of the prelims examination with the mains dimensions and the current affairs and everything. To give you an example, UPSC in its mains examination, okay, asks questions from polity, governance and Indian constitution, and you can see the syllabus over here, right? This is the governance part and this is the polity and Indian constitution part. Now here you can see it is all related to the constitution, the like the governance of the country and the various schemes and the policies, etc. So what you need to avoid when you're reading the newspaper, you need to avoid any like sensational topics, okay, any noise of the electioneering, what is happening politically, okay. But if you talk about the electoral reforms, or the reforms that we need in the election commission, or the other aspects of elections, that is important, but not the political aspect of it, okay. You basically need to focus on constitution, you need to focus on laws and governance, okay. Also, you need to avoid unverified claims or predictions on outcomes related to, for instance, elections, okay. And you need to stick to factual reporting, okay. So speculation, rumors, okay, any repetitive like content, okay. Then the micro level politics, for instance, the internal like party politics or the minor administrative changes within the political parties, these are not at all important, okay. Also, if you're reading the international relations and you're reading non-India focused world news, that would be difficult, because why? You don't need to focus on a thing that is happening in a country unless it directly or indirectly impacts India's economy, security or international relations, okay. For example, something happening in Italy internally is not important from for international relations, because it does not impact India, neither directly nor indirectly. Okay, now if you talk about sports, nowadays a number of questions are appearing from sports, but there also you need to focus on major awards, records and significant like national sporting achievements. Okay, you also need to avoid local like city news unless and until it involves national policy or large scale events. For example, a new urban planning scheme which will have definitely some policy implications, okay. Also you need to focus on national awards, okay, but not gossip, or you need to avoid like the entertainment news. So that is why the syllabus needs to be like imprinted in your mind, so that you can scan through whenever you're reading the newspaper, the current affairs or the various sources you're reading. You can scan through it and just understand what is important from exam point of view, what is relevant and what is not. The next most important thing that every beginner who is starting from scratch needs to focus on is the NCERTs. Questions are asked directly from NCERTs, okay. So now how to build your foundation properly, okay. UPSC preparation from zero means NCERTs are compulsory. Now what NCERTs give you? They basically give you conceptual clarity, okay. They are written in a very simple language, easy to understand, and everything, the sentences and the entire like framework is as per UPSC style, okay. So NCERTs are extremely important. So one chapter per sitting you need to focus on. You don't need to like rush through the foundational material. Okay, you need to underline the keywords and like write margin notes so that you can do quick revision. You don't need to make long notes out of any book, not just NCERTs, even the advanced books, because this will in turn lead to the formation of another book. So what is note taking? Either you underline it, take micro notes within the NCERTs only, and if you're comfortable in reading from a copy or something, then you just like take like a page or a copy, and there you can cover in like you divide the page in 3 or 4 parts, and each chapter can be covered in that small part. You just cover the keywords, the important things that are there within that particular chapter, and this is how you take notes. Okay, but note taking comes later. Please like try to focus on reading the NCERTs. You read the NCERTs 2 to 3 times, okay, get a grasp over it, and then in the next sitting you take notes. You don't start taking notes in the first reading itself, of course. That would be a big blunder. And you can also paraphrase concepts in your own words, and so that you can test your understanding. Okay, and finally you can connect your NCERT concepts with the current affairs and previous year's questions. Very important to note previous year's questions. The importance of last 10 years previous years questions cannot be emphasized enough. Okay, that is the core of your preparation. Okay, so after you have studied the syllabus thoroughly, it is on your table, and you're reading the NCERTs, simultaneously you have to go through the PYQs, that is the previous year's questions. Okay, you start with prelims, and then you like go through some of the questions, mains questions, okay, of the previous years. Why the previous year's questions are important? And it's important that you start like analyzing the previous year's questions quite early. Okay, you begin solving PYQs as soon as you have a basic understanding of the syllabus, because this will align your preparation with the exam requirements. Okay, so just go through at least 10 years of PYQs so that you can identify the trends. Okay, very important. And then there are like certain topics which are asked frequently again and again, so it's important to go through them. Okay, and then you can solve PYQs subject wise. For example, if you're reading a chapter from history, okay, NCERT, you just go through the chapter, and then you just find out like what kind of questions were asked from that particular theme or topic in UPSC examination previous years. Nowadays you can just like scan it, or you just put that theme on Google, and just like scan like which all questions appeared from this particular chapter, and they're like previous year's questions chapter wise and like subject wise compilations are there in the market. You can get them so that you can analyze them in a better way. Okay, so solving PYQs subject wise is very important because it strengthens your understanding of each paper. Okay, and of course for mains also, before you start preparing for your mains examination, and of course PYQs is important for prelims and mains also, and your preparation should not stay limited to prelims. Gradually, after a couple of months, when you have a decent understanding of the entire examination, you can start like practicing mains answers and mains examination questions, PYQs also. So it's important to analyze the mains PYQs also and compare them with the toppers answers. Very important, the answers written by toppers. So the model answers, they act as model answers, and they will improve your understanding, and they will improve your writing style as well. Apart from that, you can of course enroll in APTI PLUS Academy's answer writing program, then prelims mock test series and other initiatives, so that you can have a proper structured preparation with us. Okay, and revision is important, so use PYQs as a revision tool. Okay, because revisit them periodically so that you can retain the concepts and the facts. So whenever you are reading the NCERTs or going through the PYQs, it's important to not rush through. Okay, do not rush through NCERTs or PYQs. Okay, take time to understand them, analyze them. Okay, there is no like room for rote learning in UPSC, because nobody can clear UPSC just by rote learning. Okay, also UPSC punishes shallow reading. So depth is important. Depth is important, but getting carried away is not again very healthy. So that is why, what would be your compass? The compass would be your syllabus. How much you need to read, like, and what to read, what not to read. Okay, that would give you the direction. We have a blog on which all NCERTs you need to cover. Okay, basically it is from class 6 to 12. Okay, and for instance, for history and then polity, if we talk about, it is from class 11 and class 12. Okay, and geography 6 to 12, economy class 9 to 12, and science class 6 to 10, and then there are specific chapters also, so you can go through that blog. Once you are done with your NCERTs, of course you are never done with your NCERTs, you have to revise it again and again and again and consult it, and keep it as your part of your, as a part of your preparation. But once you get a grasp over NCERT topics and your foundation is strong, you can gradually move to the advanced books or the standard books. Okay, so which all standard books do you need to read? Indian Polity by M. Lakshmikant, it's like the Bible. Then Indian Economy by Ramesh Singh. Modern History by Rajiv Ahir, the Spectrum book. And you can find the complete list of standard books and advanced books that you need to read on our website. It is there in the form of a blog, and the book list is also there, so you can go through it. Next step is the current affairs. Okay, current affairs, it is the heart of UPSC. Okay, and for that you need to do what? You need to know what the government is doing, you need to know what the economy is facing, and you need to know what world expects from India. So newspaper strategy is all about one standard newspaper. Okay, the Indian Express, the Hindu for editorial, 1 or 2 newspapers max to max. Okay, you need to focus on the editorials for mains examination, and you need to make notes from newspapers, but only issue based notes, not the entire story, and you just make a pile of books at the end of the year. That won't work at all. Okay, so you just need to know what the issue is, one line issue, and then you have to know about the background of the issue, the challenge, and the solution if it is from editorial point of view. If it is from the function, from the utility point of view of prelims examination, if something, for example, if CAG has released a report, then you need to of course know about the CAG, okay, and the report, and you need to take a note of 2-3 points that has been mentioned in the report released by the CAG. Okay, similarly, if there is some constitutional body or some non-constitutional body that is mentioned in the newspaper, you need to take a note from that. Regarding economy notes, of course, what is happening in the economy, but the repo rate, how the repo rate is changing. You don't need to take a note of the things that are happening every single day. You just need to have an idea of the trend that is going on regarding the repo rate. Okay, so that is how you study. Okay, for editorials, you just don't go through each and every article on a particular theme. Okay, you allot a page for a particular issue. Okay, for example, the electoral reforms, the need for electoral reforms. Now multiple times editorials and topics will appear, and anything new that you find from a particular piece of article, you just take a note of 1 or 2 lines from there and incorporate it in your existing note. That is how you make notes. Optional subject, it contributes to 500 marks, and optional could be a what? It could be a game changer. So important to focus on your optional subject. Okay, but it's important to note that whenever you are picking the optional subject, you choose the subject based on your interest, based on your academic comfort, and ability of guidance, whether you're getting good guidance from an institution or not. Okay, you go through the like PYQs and just have an idea whether you'd be able to tackle it or not, and then pick the subject. Don't pick subject based on which is the most scoring subject and all. We have been like training aspirants since a decade, and we have seen so many aspirants, they are clearing the examination with optional like engineering, like mathematics, and so many. So don't go with the most scoring subject thing. Okay, just pick subject based on your interest and academic comfort. Okay, so this is regarding your optional subject. Get good guidance from an institution. And answer writing, another non-negotiable part of your preparation. Okay, please note that UPSC answers are not essays, so you just like what you have done in your, for example, graduation won't work here. Okay, you have to like study it from a very technical, with a technical bent of mind. Proper structuring, introduction, body, conclusion, proper headings, diagrams, keywords, no beating around the bush. Okay, no generic content, they won't work in UPSC answers. So you can enroll in a answer writing program also to get an idea. You can go through the answers written by toppers, okay, to have an idea. And mock tests, of course, the like pillar, because you need to analyze like what is going wrong and like what is the level of your preparation. So enroll yourself in a good like mock test program. Okay, and mock tests are not to score marks, they are basically to discover the mistakes, so that you don't repeat those mistakes in the D-Day, in the final day of the examination. Okay, so analyzing those mock tests after appearing them, okay, getting like good feedback from the end of your mentors is important. So enroll in a prelims mock test, and then gradually in a mains mock test as well. Finally, one important thing that each and every like aspirant needs to focus upon, and many ignore it, is revision. Okay, so we are not like, we do not have superpowers. Since the syllabus is huge, you need to revise, so there is retention. Okay, so chalk out a plan whichever you are comfortable in, so that you don't forget things. Okay, weekly revision plan, monthly revision plan, and then revision before the tests. Okay, you appear the tests, and after that you analyze the tests, not just like you see like what went wrong, like how much, but why it went wrong. Okay, you read the like explanations given in the mock tests, so that you have an idea, and revise those mock tests, because a number of questions like are asked from those tests only. Okay, your mental and physical health is very important, because burnout you cannot afford to have, afford to like have a toll on your health. So burnout ends more UPSC dreams than failure. Very, very important to note. Okay, burnout ends more UPSC dreams than failure. Okay, so sleep properly, 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep is very important. You take a walk, brisk walk, exercise for mental clarity, and disconnect sometimes from the entire process to prevent exhaustion. Okay, so it's important to give your honesty, consistency, and patience, and UPSC will give you a chance. Okay, UPSC is all about consistency. You start today, you start slow, but you don't stop. Okay, consistency is the key. Now, if you talk about APTI PLUS Academy, APTI PLUS Academy builds your preparation from scratch. Okay, now what do you understand? You understand UPSC structure, the syllabus, NCERTs, newspapers, answer writing, revision. But let me ask you honestly, can a beginner manage all this alone? Can someone starting from zero avoid confusion, burnout, and a wrong direction without guidance? For most aspirants, the honest answer is no. And this is where the role of a serious institution becomes decisive. Okay, now how APTI Plus builds you from zero? Well, the journey starts at the foundation level. Okay, whether you have enrolled in the offline course or the online course, you get the NCERT classes. Okay, that builds your foundation. Then after that, you go ahead with the standard books, the advanced books. Every day you get to practice the previous year's questions through a Samiksha workbook. Daily practice takes place. Apart from that, Your mentors, they are all from Delhi. Okay, so you don't need to move from Eastern India, that is from Kolkata and Bhubaneswar, to Delhi or any other place, and you can directly prepare from these places, and all the teachers are from Delhi and other parts of the country. So you don't need to move to Delhi from Kolkata, Bhubaneswar or Eastern India to get the best preparation, because India's best mentors are already there at your doorstep. Okay, they'll be your personal mentors who will guide you every step of the way, from prelims to mains to interview, where like you'll start with your NCERTs, then the advanced books as mentioned earlier, then the answer writing practice, PYQ practice, mock tests, and one-to-one guidance, feedback, everything would be there in your preparation process. So you can say that you're not taught to memorize, you're trained to understand, apply, and then express and get the rank in UPSC. Okay, if you talk about the prelims test series, we all know that prelims is not about knowledge overload, it is about decision making under uncertainty. Okay, most of the questions are quite unpredictable as per a lot of people, but last year only 64 questions directly, indirectly, they appeared from APTI PLUS Academy's notes and sources, and all verified by our experts multiple times. These questions appeared from current affairs, then monthly magazines, notes, and other sources of APTI Plus Academy. Now, if you talk about the mains answer writing also, there's like answer writing starts very early at APTI Plus Academy. Structuring is taught explicitly. Okay, feedback is detailed and it is corrective in nature, and you don't like write answers blindly. Here you learn how to meet the demand of the question, and your mentors, like, they teach you every at every step, and they evaluate the questions, your answers, in a manner that is very methodical in nature, so that you get an idea on how to structure your answers and how to like present the answers in such a manner that meets the exact demand of the question. Okay, now let's have a look at some of the toppers who were once beginners and they started with APTI Plus Academy and eventually cracked the examination to become officers. For instance, Rajdeep Ghosh. Okay, Rajdeep Ghosh, in his own words, he said that he could not even speak English properly when he joined. Okay, he had no confidence, no polished language, no elite background, but he was a classroom student of APTI Plus Academy, and with systematic training, clear conceptual grounding, and continuous practice, he cleared not only UPSC but also WBCS examination with top ranks. Okay, and this is not just talent, but this is training, discipline, and belief. Similarly, Ritika Rath, All India rank 48 UPSC 2024, was a classroom student of APTI Plus Academy. Okay, and what gave her confidence? Quality classroom teaching, structured guidance, consistent evaluation, okay, analytical depth. She didn't just clear the examination by chance, she cleared it with clarity and confidence. Okay, so what all these tells you as a beginner? Okay, background does not decide selection, preparation does. The right guidance, the right direction, consistency, self-belief, confidence, practice, all these matter. And if Rajdeep can do it, if Ritika can do it, then so can you, provided you put yourself in the right ecosystem. So, if you're thinking of preparing for UPSC CSE 2027 and you're starting from zero, you're unsure about your direction but you're serious about long-term preparation, then our honest advice is to join APTI Plus Academy, not because it is easy, but because it is systematic, disciplined, and result-oriented. Okay, APTI Plus does not promise shortcuts; it promises preparation that makes you capable of selection. Consistency over comfort. If you're serious about UPSC CSE 2027, start right now.